Greetings, dear queers. Today we're going to get some therapy. But what's worse than therapy, you may wonder? Conversion therapy. What's even worse than that? Conversion therapy camp. And what's worse than that? A movie. A movie about conversion therapy camp, but not any movie. A movie that came out in 2023 about a conversion therapy camp that has a slasher in it. And that movie is They Slash Them. This movie is about a group of campers going to a conversion camp while all possibly being hunted down by a two-faced killer, which sounds way too interesting. So we have to tone it down a lot. A lot. This movie begins with your typical, oh no, some stranger we don't know gets killed off, as per slasher rules, which is fine, I guess. I don't really care. It's just following the stereotypes without actually having any fun with it. And that's just the very few minutes. Like, oh no, just like in Scream, and Nightmare on Elm Street, and Friday the 13th, and Hellfest, and Thanksgiving, and it's like, okay, I don't care. Because then we're just going to ignore that entirely and cut to a bus arriving with our campers. The movie really starts with our introductions to the campers and the counselors at an LGBTQ plus conversion camp. And for anyone that's actually been to conversion camp, I'm sure you have some serious horror stories. Unlike this horror story, which is more concerned about cliches and not offending anybody while trying to be about conversion. I don't get it, but let's continue. Our soon-to-be deads are really unmemorable. Let's see, we have our stereotypical gay with the high-pitched feminine voice and oh my god, and the makeup, and I love musicals, and wow, cool, you're like every gay ever in existence, thank you. Then we have our jock gay, who's exactly as you expect. He's big and muscular, and he's the sports guy, and he's also gay. That's it. That's his character. Well, what's our next one? Oh yeah, the depressed twink gay. Then there's the blonde girly lesbian, the butch bisexual who looks like a female Rufio. I gotta give points for that red hair. And then there's the transgender woman. And I say it like that because that's all it is. None of these characters have anything unique about them. They are exactly what you expect. Cookie cutter stereotypes. And that's just the first impression of these guys. Oh, we haven't even heard them yet. They are immediately like this. It's first impressions. You can just tell what everyone is supposed to be, like a fucking poster. Like, oh, there's that one, and there's that one. Good thing, we don't like having character development. Not in this movie. Oh, and I haven't even gotten to our main character. Not a final girl this time, I'll give it that. All the slashers usually have final girls, like Sydney, for instance, from Scream. Or, who was it? Stretch, I believe, from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Along with Laurie from Halloween and Ripley from Alien even. So, it is nice to have a not final girl. No, this time, we have a final NB. A final non-binary character. Which is definitely a nice change. They are named Jordan. And even they kind of feel like if it existed, they also feel like a stereotype of sorts. non-binary stereotype. It's not like we have a lot of non-binary characters in media in general, but even they kind of feel like a stereotype in their own way, which is not a good start. You want to sell yourself as this new type of slasher with this new mask, and you want to be unique, and you're just like every other slasher, and not in a loving way either. Scream, I know I keep going back to it, but Scream is really good. In Scream, it felt like a loving nod while using the stereotypes and cliches of a slasher. In They Slash Them, it's just stereotypes and cliches. Like, oh man, have you seen Freddy vs. Jason, where all the characters fucking suck? Because nobody cares. Because they're all stereotypes. Nobody gives a shit. But I'm not even done yet. No. Those are just the campers. What's next? The counselors. Oh boy. We have the jock counselor who was gay but isn't anymore, and they don't explore that at all. And there's his wife. She's there. There's the medic. She's kind of there. There's the therapist. She gets weird. And then of course the camp counselor, head of it all, Kevin Bacon. Because you're not going to remember whatever the hell his name was in the movie. I think it was Owen Wilson, but he's Kevin Bacon. You know he's Kevin Bacon because he's Kevin Bacon. He doesn't act like anything else other than an asshole version of himself, which he's done before. So there's nothing unique there either. Nothing at all. It just seems like bodies to add to the kill count, honestly. Oh, and real quick, I can't forget Balthazar. He's the janitor. He's also there. God damn. And also Duke the dog. Don't forget about Duke the dog. He's a dog, so he gets a pass. And when the counselors actually come out, you get your first impression of them too. There's not much to it. I don't even know what to say about these guys. When you first see them, they present themselves as, oh, we're really nice and we're really welcoming, and Kevin Bacon comes up and does a little spiel about God and Jesus and everything, and then it's over. And as I see this bit in this introduction, and Kevin Bacon says, oh, no, with it, that's all about God and Christianity ever for the rest of the trip, and that's it. I was wondering, are they really going to stick to that? Because when I hear about conversion therapy, conversion camp, when I hear about even just insane parents and family who flip out because they're so transphobic and homophobic, they lean hard into Christianity, especially Christianity and Catholicism as well, because it's against God and it's against religion and it's against this, that, and the other. And I'm like, they're really just going to stop here, huh? So why even bring it up? It feels like you're just trying to not upset anybody, in which doing so, you've achieved a 32%, I think, on Rotten Tomatoes. So you've clearly upset everybody. It felt like, why mention it then? Right? Like, oh, I'm going to do a little spiel enough, that's it. Why even talk about it? Why bring it up at all if it's not important? It just feels like you're trying not to offend people. And you're a movie about a conversion camp. You're a horror movie about a conversion camp. You will upset somebody, but you have to be okay with that. I really thought when I first saw this that they were going to be like, okay, so he stops mentioning it, but then he'll mention it later, and he'll go hard on it, and it'll get much harder and harder and heavier, and he'll mention God and Jesus, and you're all like fags, and he'll keep throwing around the slurs, and he won't stop because it'll just get so much worse and so much heavier, and The later in the movie, it kind of feels like that, but not at the moment. Kind of. It's just, oh boy. After everyone is settled and Kevin Bacon divides the groups, Jordan just kind of stands there, right? And I'm just going to stop mentioning God just like the movie did, just to prove a point that they bring it up and they stop it. Like, there's no point, you shouldn't have brought it up in the first place then. So when the group is divided into male and female cabins, you have Jordan there being our de facto main character, who is non-binary. And they just kind of stand there. And I can't keep saying "and" all the time. I relate to that image so hard. The movie's bad, but there's some relatable bits to it. And with Jordan just kind of standing there as everyone scrambles around to get to their camps, it's just like, yeah, I feel like that too. Just kind of stuck. Don't know where to go. And Kevin Bacon is just like, you know what, just go with the boys. Because we're here promoting togetherness or something, you know, with heavy quotation marks. It's about togetherness. It's like, yeah, okay, fuck you too, Bacon. Time to get going. And it plays out very normally, I guess. Because it's still a camp. The problem that I see with this, with it being a conversion camp, is they don't really treat it like a conversion camp. It's a normal camp that has some therapy sessions. And the therapy sessions go a little insane. But it doesn't feel like a conversion camp on my first impression. It feels like a camp. It feels like a Friday the 13th type camp. You have the cabins, you have the counselors, you have the campers, and you have the slasher who's MIA throughout most of the movie, even though it's a slasher movie, but okay. It didn't really give me a vibe of oppression, which I thought they were trying to go for. They just hang around, and they do sports, and they do other shit for about half the movie, to be honest. So it just feels like a normal camp, and I've already seen slasher movies at camps that were done better, even in the 80s and 90s, after Friday blew up, where everyone tried to copy Friday the 13th. Even those did it better. But I don't know, I guess we're trying to be faithful or something to the stereotypes. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand. It just feels lazy. That's all it is. It feels lazy. Like shouldn't this place be, I don't know, a little different? Shouldn't it have imagery? Shouldn't it have symbolism? Shouldn't it have crosses and pictures of Jesus and pray the gay away type shit all over the place? I want this place to feel oppressive because it pretends to be oppressive. Now, I know what I'm saying. I know what I sound like. But it is a horror movie. And in a horror movie, you want to feel scared. You want to feel suppressed, even in certain situations. Like in Don't Breathe, for instance, where it's focused on these main characters who are just in a house, but the house feels really restrictive and really oppressive because of the danger that's inside. But in this, well, it's a camp, I guess. There's 2 cabins and the main office, and that's it. So it doesn't even feel like a proper camp. It feels like a facsimile of a camp, a fake, a fraud. Which I guess is the idea, isn't it? That everyone's a fraud. Even Camp Coral from SpongeBob feels more like a camp than this does. Which is just horrible. It really is. Because if you want to be a camp movie. But if you want to be a conversion camp, you should be different. The camp itself, maybe it could have been an old church, you know? Maybe it could have been this area where nuns went to years ago. It could have been an area that was big but empty and dark and cold. What if it was in a cathedral, for instance? You know? One of these big ones with a lot of rooms, and everyone gets their own personal room, but the rooms are all made of stone. They all have one bed or something, and it feels really solitary and really closed off. What if that was what the camp was? You know? And you don't need to put God imagery everywhere. You're in a cathedral. That's enough. That would have been enough. It would have been oppressive. It would have been suppressive. And it would have been scary. Even the nun knows that. Which, the nun looks goofy, but I might watch it one day. Oh boy. Even Daryl Dixon knows that. His own show has a cathedral in it. And it's big and it's impressive, but it's also cold. It's also kind of unnerving to be in and around. That's what this place should have felt like. It shouldn't be a camp. No. It should be conversion. It should be this place that you kind of fear, that you're kind of uncomfortable in all of the time. But it's just here's like 3 cabins and an office and we're done. Wow. That's it, huh? I thought you were trying to, really get your message across, right? I thought you really wanted to make a point, but instead, because you don't want to upset anybody, you do this. Why? Why this type of setting? Yeah, okay, a camp. Cool. There's plenty of camp slashers. Plenty. And they do it better. They do it better. It doesn't matter if I name Friday the 13th for the upteenth time, because it's a camp. It knows it's a camp. It takes place in a camp. It acts like a camp. Sleepaway Camp is another example. It's a camp with a killer. In They/Them, it's not a camp with a killer. It's a few buildings and people are dying at some point later or something. It doesn't feel like a camp. It doesn't feel like a conversion camp. It doesn't feel really like anything. It feels like they popped up a bunch of buildings and that was it. That was our setting. So, okay, cool. Why? There's no point. Goosebumps can make a better camp. Camp Night Moon with the werewolves. But this is nothing. And it doesn't help. It really, really doesn't help. You mix this bland place with these bland characters, and what do you get? You get a bland movie. And I'm not even done. As the movie continues, it goes into these therapy sessions that I mentioned before, where everyone reveals their tragic past and backstory, and it feels mostly forced. Like, oh, you have the stereotypical gay, and why did he come here? Oh, because his parents got him a musical ticket. Haha, funny. It's like, oh, cool, you're just annoying. That's it, you're just annoying. And the jock doesn't want to be gay because he's the jock. He wants to get this scholarship and he wants to go to college, but he doesn't want to be the gay jock. Which, the gay jock stereotype has been done better before. Like in The Perks of Being a Wallflower, for instance. They had the gay jock stereotype, but that was actually done well. It was done like, they were actual human beings and not just check marks. That's what really annoys me about this movie. Ooh, what's the blonde story? She's the blonde, but she's gay. And that's it. She doesn't like it. She doesn't want to be bullied. But, we never get to see it at all. Go through all of their backstories, and they explain it, and they try to be really emotional, but it's like, it feels more like you're try-harding than actually trying to be emotional. And all of the emotional scenes are like that. Like, they're really, really trying to get you to feel something, and it's just not working. The butch bisexual Lady Rufio, or Veronica, I think is her name, in the movie. What's her past? Oh, well, she doesn't like being bisexual. She really hates it because people call her a freak. And that's it. And, don't get me wrong. I'm sure people have those exact backstories. I'm absolutely positive they have those types of experiences. And it sucks. Yeah, wow, it sucks. Nice. Like, yeah, no, it sucks. It's like, yeah, no. It's really shitty to go through something like that. And I understand that. Obviously. I have shitty family of my own. I know exactly how this goes. But in the movie, they do it to get... It feels like they do it to get brownie points. Like, oh, see, they have these backstories. Like, okay. And? I don't really care. Since they were stereotypes to begin with, of course they're going to have cliched backstories. Obviously. Because why have character? So when their backstories come up, it's like, yeah, it's just as cliched as you are. Why do I care? I don't. That's the problem. If you want me to care about these characters, give me characters. Give me people. I want to know them. Like, if Adora from She-Ra had these types of issues, I would care a lot more. Because she has a character. And she's also gay. And if she was in this situation, man, she would slaughter everyone hands down. It would be awesome. But anyway. But I actually care about Adora from She-Ra because she has this backstory of being this parentless child who was just thrown into the army, and the only friend she ever had was Catra, and that's how they got along. But then they had this overbearing mother-type figure being Shadow Weaver, and you can really get it. And because Adora is so likable, you're invested further in her backstory. Because she was likable first. She was goofy. She was funny. She didn't quite know what to do in the situation immediately, but she tried to. She tried to do what was right. She tried to fight. She tried to get an army. She did all these things first, and you liked that about her. But what do these characters have to offer? There's the gay one. There's the lesbian. There's the transgender. There's the non-binary. Okay, my bingo's complete. Let's move on. Like, wow. Really? So why should I care about their backstories? They're all exactly as you expect them to be. Nothing new or different or unique is done with it. And since they don't really feel like characters, they don't feel like people, it just feels like a checklist. That's what this whole movie feels like. It feels like a checklist. Okay, do we have our camp setting? Kind of, sure. We have a few buildings. That counts, right? That's enough. We have our killer. They have an axe. Yeah, that hasn't been done before. An axe. Ooh. That's done. We have our bastard adults. That's done. Obligatory sex scene. That's done. It's like, okay, so where's the movie in all of this? I'm not saying you can't have some stereotypes and cliches, but can there be something else? You're just hitting off the check marks. Nothing is different. Literally nothing. And that's the exact problem with this movie. Ugh. It upsets me to no end. It really does. Because what really sucks is that it has potential. It really, really does. Throughout the film, the counselors get increasingly worse. They get creepier and more off-putting and more unnerving and harsher and meaner. And when I'm watching it, I'm thinking, man, maybe they really are going to go all the way. They're going to do some crazy shit that I've heard real people do. I've heard stories of some crazy, crazy shit happening. So, what happens? They do their camp stuff, I guess. You have the jock counselor, who's different from the jock gay, because he's the jock counselor. And he's just kind of an asshole gym teacher, and that's it. That's really his character. He gets kind of worse, but he was kind of an asshole to begin with, so not much has changed there. While they do typical camp activities, they go through a jungle gym and do sporty things like climbing walls and jumping through tires and shit. And it's like, yeah, I expect that, whatever. And he becomes a bigger asshole. And it's like, yeah, I expected that too, whatever. The therapy sessions continue with Bacon's wife. I'm not going to remember her name because she's not memorable, like everybody else. And she has a moment too where she's talking to Jordan and she kind of gets really creepy and really unnerving, where she's like, yeah, you're less than nothing. You think you're this, but you just want to be special. You're just this ugly fucking dyke. You're less than a freak. You're just nothing. And it's like, wow. Okay. Maybe back up a little bit. And it really fucks with Jordan too. And it's like, okay. Well, something like that wouldn't affect me. I get how it could affect somebody else in the same position. Because it can get really messed up. And because of that session, Jordan really gets in their own head and they're like, man, do you think we chose to be like this? Do you think we wanted to be in this? And that, again, was actually relatable. The best scenes happen in the cabin with the campers. Because it's really the few times it feels like they're not playing it up. It really just feels like they're just being, and it works. Like, when Jordan gets in their own head about this, they talk to the transgender woman that was thrown into the men's bunk with them because in an earlier scene, Alexandra, I believe her name was, went to take a shower early in the morning and got discovered naked by one of the counselors. And Kevin Bacon's like, oh man, you're a liar. It's like, okay, you're just... okay. But Jordan has this really nice bonding session with Alexandra because Jordan's getting in their own head about everything. And Alexandra's like... she's like, basically, we are who we are. And that's nice. And she starts singing this song and really hyping it up, which is, again, a really nice scene where she starts singing and she kind of gets Jordan to join in, then she gets the other campers to join in. They all have this moment. And yeah, it could feel phoned in, but it's a nice moment of levity for everybody after everything up to this point, where they just all join in. And it's a really popular song. I forget what it's called, but they're like, oh, we're not perfect, but we are who we are, and we like who we are. And it's really nice when everyone comes in, they start singing, and I'm like, okay, that's really sweet. I know it's cheesy, I know it's kind of forced, but it feels a lot more genuine than the other moments in the movie because it's just everyone bonding. And if the movie was like that, I feel like it would have been okay. Honestly. If the movie was actually about the campers and the counselors just bouncing off of each other in a more natural way, if everyone was allowed to act more natural, I feel like it could have worked a lot better. Maybe it wouldn't be great or anything, no, but it could have worked a lot better. Instead of forcing these weird moments where Kevin Bacon, he acts like such an asshole, and the gym teacher archetype acts like such an asshole, and everyone gets weird, and it's like, yeah, you're just forcing it. I don't feel anything. I don't feel a connection. I don't feel a hatred. I don't feel a like. I don't feel anything because you're just fucking stereotypes and archetypes, and it's like, whatever. Ugh. But when they're in the cabins and just bouncing off each other, that works. It really does. Too bad there's only like 2 scenes where it really works, and the rest of the time it's bullshit. But as we continue, the counselors get more progressively unhinged. And as they unravel, as they start splitting up the group more and more, to the point where all the manly men, they go out shooting, and all the femininely women go out baking, I felt like, again, at that moment, maybe they should have leaned harder into it. Because at this point, we're, a little bit past the halfway mark of the film, and just now we're getting to these reinforce the stereotypes and you're not this and that type moments. Which I say that took a while, but we got there, I guess. I don't know. When they did that, and all the men, plus Jordan and Alexandra, all go out shooting, there's a moment where Kevin Bacon picks out the stereotypical gay guy, and I will not say his name because I don't remember it because he's that forgettable like everyone fucking else. He takes the stereotypical gay guy and he straight up tells him, shoot the dog. I'm not kidding. Shoot the dog. Because the dog has cancer. It's like, whoa, okay. That got heavy real fast. And he just leans in and he's like, grow some balls, be a man for once. It's like, whoa. Oh my God. I need a little bit of a break. You're going really hard, really fast. Couldn't we have gotten a little bit of more of this earlier, though? Because the build-up with the counselors doesn't feel like a build-up. It feels like 0 to 100. Because Kevin Bacon in the beginning is like, oh, I'm this nice guy, and we're fine, and we're just going to do our jobs, and that's it. And then they go to the shooting range, and he's like, be a fucking man. Be a man. Kill the dog. Otherwise, good old Zane there, the gym teacher, he's going to break the dog's legs. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ. Where did that come from? That was insane. And I know some people can be like that. I know people like that, where they just go 0 to 100, boom, like that. And then I'm like, where was this earlier? I feel like there could have been moments where this type of energy could have been used possibly to a lesser degree, Like when all the kids are singing, and again, it's a really wholesome moment, I really like it. I feel like it could have been interrupted with Kevin Bacon or one of the other counselors just breaking into the cabin, being like, what the fuck are you doing? You shouldn't be like this. You're all fucking fag. Just throwing around slurs. Oh boy. I'm going to be taken down. Oh no. No. But, or in other situations where it could have been used properly. His blow up at the stereotypical gay guy could have been stretched out, or at least put in different positions throughout the movie, in different situations. I feel like it could have worked. And again, it would have made the whole of the camp more oppressive, like it's supposed to be. But instead, it's that one big blow up, and then that's kind of it from Kevin Bacon. That's kind of it. He kind of like tones it down after that, which is like, don't you want to do the opposite of that? After blowing up that big, to the point where Jordan has to take a gun and shoot the dog just to stop the situation, which is like, holy damn, honestly. Oh my god. I feel bad for Duke, who was still breathing in his scene because it wasn't cropped properly. Duke was very much okay. He was just told to lay down because the scene was not cut properly, but that's okay. At least we know the dog's actually okay. But instead of Kevin Bacon getting bigger and louder and more dangerous, he kind of tones it down after that. And I'm sitting there wondering, wait, so you had this giant blow up and you're done? You spent all that energy just for that, huh? Wow. Okay, I guess. I feel like it would have been better if he only escalated from there. Where, like, the next word that came out of his mouth was another scream and another shout and another command. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Like, if right afterwards, when he congratulates Jordan on, oh, I see we have a killer here, he's like, get to your cabins! But he doesn't do that. The scene just cuts. And we're back to the ladies baking their pie, and the gym teacher's wife, what's her face? I don't know. She describes herself as a Barbie, so her name's going to be Barbie from now on. Barbie, the counselor, is just teaching the girls, oh, well, this is what you do. This is what we do in society. This is what women do. We bake and we serve men. It's like, okay, you little dumbass. But okay. Okay. All the baking fun, which doesn't last very long, that ends, and she goes up to the blonde lesbian and kind of starts creeping on her. Just generally being weird. It's uncomfortable, but not that uncomfortable. And that's a very strange problem. And I know you might be thinking, wait, what? But it's uncomfortable. It achieved its goal. Why would you... Why is that a problem? Because I feel like it should go harder. Honestly. I feel like when Barbie starts cutting the pie that the blonde made, Kim, and she starts talking about how it's in a good shape and it's filled with all the right stuff, and again it gets a little uncomfortable. She starts trying to feel Kim up, and like, okay, kind of borders on pedophilia, I think. Eesh. But it doesn't go that far. And I know, obviously, I know you shouldn't want a situation like that to go further, right? Obviously. But this movie's trying to prove a point, and it's not doing it well. It's like, oh, conversion camp is bad. Well, shit, we already knew that. So if they took these scenes, if they took Barbie feeling up Kim, Kevin Bacon shouting at the gay guy, Zane just existing, I guess, I don't know, he's an asshole, I don't know, there's nothing to him, and the rest of them. If they took all of those scenes and they amped it up, they cranked it, maybe to even Rob Zombie type exploitation levels, then that would genuinely be fucked up, but it would definitely get the point across. It wants to be this movie that scares you into thinking conversion camp is bad. We already know that. Bad thing is bad. Who knew? That hits the news headliners. Whoa. Bad thing is bad. Oh shit. I think we kind of already know. Especially when you see the trailer and they flat out say they're a conversion camp horror movie. Ugh. So I feel like they really should have gone above and beyond. Instead of just having, oh, it's kind of uncomfortable, they should have been like, no, let's crank this shit to 11. Let's go full Rob Zombie. Like in House of a Thousand Corpses or Halloween 2 when Rob Zombie did that. And all of his other movies where it is insanity. Where Rob Zombie, he goes into the gore and the screaming and all the uncomfortable moments. That's what this movie should have done. Kevin Bacon should have become a screaming, homophobic, slur-slinging monster with no apologies. The therapist should have played her mind games even deeper. We could have seen her with everyone, not just Jordan, with Andra, and with the jock gay, and with the stereotypical gay, and Lady Rufio, and Kim. We could have really explored so much there. And we really could have explored the depths of psychological and emotional abuse. And yes, it would have been completely uncomfortable. But that's the idea. If you want to do this idea, you have to go all the way. Because if you crap out, well, you end up like this movie and you get 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. It should have really dedicated to what it wanted to be instead of chickening out. But it wanted to be PG-13, and that's it. It really just stuck to that in the worst way possible. Because even getting to the slasher aspect of this movie, because every other aspect sucks so far, so finally getting to the slasher aspect, about, I don't know, when we have maybe 30 minutes left, give or take, or less, we finally get to the slasher doing slasher shit. And they start killing everyone. And, oh my god, it's so bad, I guess, but I don't care. I don't care. You see Balthazar, the janitor, get his face slammed into a TV earlier, which, by the way, you knew nothing about him either. He was the janitor. Oh, and at the last second, you learn that he was a pervert, and then he died, and that was it. The end. That's it. Okay, cool. And that happens really fairly early into the film, into the story, and literally nobody misses him. So it's like, why did he even exist? Oh, right. He was there just to die, and that's it. I don't think that guy even got the line. I think he just got a, like, wow, a noise. Good for you, I guess. It's just, oh my god. I would say the only scene in the film that actually felt genuinely suspenseful didn't even have the slasher in it. See, because when the jock gay, I guess the gay jock that would roll the tongue easier, goes for a swim, he runs into the depressed gay. And the jock gay and the depressed gay, they get nice and busy. Until you find out that the depressed gay isn't even there on purpose. He's actually one of the counselors who, as Kevin Bacon puts it, is the forbidden fruit. Like, okay, sure, why not? Just keep going. And they get the gay jock, they restrain him on a chair, hook him up to some wires, and literally start electrocuting him while showing him pictures of men. And that whole scene of the gay jock just being whiplashed and shocked and just electrocuted, that was genuinely uncomfortable. That was genuinely suspenseful, because after that I'm like, did they just kill him? Did he just die? because he got electrocuted so much and they focused on it so hard. And that's what they should have done earlier. They should have had that type of suspense throughout the movie. But that was the one and only time they do something like that. And when it's finished, they throw him on the bed like a sack of shit. And it's over. And the medic's there, and she's like, holy shit, what the hell happened? And they're like, you know what, don't worry about it. And she's like, shit, you're abusing these kids, which I know of earlier because there's literally photographic proof that Jordan turned up of all of these hurt and abused and bruised children. And again, I'm not asking to show these. I'm not asking for this type of stuff to happen to anybody. I'm just saying, in a movie where you're clearly trying to prove a point, you're clearly trying to say something, maybe you should lean a little harder. Maybe you should do more. Because your point does not get through. And that's the problem. They have this one scene of shocking the jock. Shock the jock. That sounds like a t-shirt. And they have another scene of Jordan finding all these photographs of bruised children. And yeah, that's not right. That's really fucked up. But it's also not enough. It's not enough as a movie. Especially a movie with a fairly big name attached to it, being Kevin Bacon, of course. Then, soon after, the slasher finally does something and starts going after all of the other counselors. Killing off the gym teacher Zane, who was actually gay, but he went to conversion therapy, so he's fine now, but it clearly didn't work, so whatever, I guess. And it's like, I get it was supposed to be a jab at conversion not working, but it was very poorly executed. But don't worry, soon after, him and his girl also get executed via axe, which quite literally cuts them out of the rest of the film. Which is fine by me. Less boring characters means a faster ending. Oh, but it's still annoying. While this is happening, the main crew, I guess, it's not really established. The relationships between everyone is so weak and barely strung together. I'm not really sure what the main group is. But according to the movie, it's the stereotypical gay guy, Alexandra, and Jordan. Those three, apparently. I guess they really bonded in their cabin sessions where they kind of bonded with everyone else. So it kind of made it confusing, but okay, whatever. They make this plan to escape on a bus and just to run away, to bug out with everyone else. But after the killings and after the counselors go missing that night, everyone kind of starts bugging out. It's like, oh shit, now we have a real problem. People are dead and there's blood everywhere. And holy cow. And then it turns into, your stereotypical slasher movie. All the campers, they run off into the woods and you never see most of them again. They survive, mind you, because you see one of them at the end. But all the counselors end up dead. It's like, oh no, not the assholes. I so deeply cared about the crazy psychos. Oh no. I guess. Oh no. Not asshole Kevin Bacon. Not his crazy psychotic therapist wife or the other one. Oh man. Poor the rest of them, I guess. I didn't care. I was kind of tapped out near the end of it. I mean, you can't blame me. There's a lot of stereotypes, a lot of cliches, and nothing was fun. Nothing was enjoyable. Nothing was grabbing. Nothing was suspenseful, aside from a few scenes. And when the slasher gets up to Kevin Bacon and it's finally revealed who it is, oh my god, it's the medic! Okay. That wasn't built up in the slightest. So why is it the medic? Oh, because her name actually isn't what's it? It's Abby or some shit. Who cares? And she came here in disguise. Okay, cool. So what? Like, so what? Oh well, she came to the conversion camp before. Turns out there's no flashbacks, mind you. It's just all her talking. She talks about how she went to Kevin Bacon's camp and got the shock therapy and went through this personal hell and had to see therapists and had to get medicine and tried to off herself multiple times. And if that was shown, it would have been more grabbing, more suspenseful, and more emotional. But she just kind of all explains it in like a minute or two. It's like, okay, cool, you were barely in the movie, so why should I care about you? Oh, because you helped out Alexandra. You gave her estrogen that one time, and Jordan kind of saw you that one time, and that was it. Oh, and there was the time with the gay jock. It's like, okay, cool. So you have 4 scenes, and then you show up at the end as the killer. Yeah, that's enough of a build-up. Woo. Wow. That's so, amazing, I guess. Jesus fuck. They tried to act like it's this Scream or Hard Eyes level twist, and no, it's not. It's like, oh yeah, who were you again? You showed up 4 fucking times before this, where Kevin Bacon, Zane's wife, and Kevin Bacon's wife all have more screen time than you. Not even together. Separately, they all have more screen time. And then there's the medic. There's good old Abby. She shows up 4 fucking times up to this point, and I completely forgot who she was. Oh, but she has this tragic backstory. And it's like, cool. I wish the movie was about that. That would have been nice. Instead of having all this bullshit, the movie could have been about Abby. Wouldn't that have been interesting? You know, a young Abby going to this conversion camp and facing these daily ridicule and slander and bullying and abuse at home, at school, and at the camp, where to the point where she gets so mentally fucked up. Wouldn't that have been a much more dramatic story? I would have been invested, honestly, if that was the true movie. If it was about Abby coming to this camp, and in flashbacks, not through talking, in flashbacks, you see how awful she was bullied. And since she's about 40 or so, I don't know her exact age, it doesn't matter. Then, in her time, when she was 14, it'd be what, around the 80s or the 90s? So it wasn't nearly as accepted as it was in 2023. So it would have had a much bigger impact because it's a much different time period that she was a child in. And you could have seen her life up to that point, and that would have actually been interesting. Like, imagine if that was the movie. It starts with her coming to camp and facing Kevin Bacon and his posse. Her with a bunch of other LGBTQ plus people, campers. And they have to face against the constant oppression and bigotry that's forced onto them because society fucking sucks. Especially back in the day. And imagine you actually see her at the camp. You're with her going through this shock therapy and exposure therapy. And you're with her as she experiences all of this to the point where she genuinely wants to off herself. And you see her after camp seeing therapists. You see her taking all types of medication to stop these thoughts and feelings. And you see her actually get to a point where she kind of just fucking snaps. And she's like, you know what? It's not me. I'm not the problem. It's these camps. And I'm going to slaughter all of them. Wouldn't that have been so interesting? Like, imagine the drama and the suspense of Abby going through with all of this, with her putting her costume together, sharpening her axe, making her mask. That would have been so interesting and so different from your typical slasher. If you want to separate yourself, that'll do it. That would be so different, and it would get your point across. Like, wow, we're going to focus on this character who in her entire life, to the point where she's gone insane, and now we're really driving the point home. Now we're really trying to get the message across with this. Not this bullshit of a movie with the rest of it. No, you could have focused on Abby. Abby could have been the main character. It would have saved everything, to be honest. Rewrite the whole movie right now, actually. You know what? I'm better at it because clearly I know what I'm talking about, being a rando on the internet. Obviously, give the movie to me. Let's revamp it. Let's call it Les/B. No. No, don't call it that. That'd be a shitty movie title. Oh my god. No. But it would have been much different, is my point. It could have been different if that's the route they went to, but I don't know why. Probably because they were more focused on making everyone happy while still trying to get a message. Like that new Animal Farm movie that came out. It's like, oh, you're trying to keep everyone happy while still getting the message across, but you're not, because you want to water it down to the point where it's not recognizable anymore. And that's what this is. It's not recognizable as a believable story from a conversion camp. It's not believable as someone who's actually dealt with all of these issues personally. And, I don't know the creator. Maybe they did deal with all of these issues. And maybe they just don't know how to get the point across. But either way, there needs to be a better horror movie, a better thriller, a better drama, a better slasher movie than they slash them. Because I need to slash this movie from my memory. But for now, that is all. My theys, bays, gays, and strays. Until next time.